Connor Murphy was reportedly found dead at 32 years old in Thailand, and I think this is going to mark the beginning of the end for Looksmaxxing.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna cry after the stream.
Now look, I know there isn't much that hasn't already been said about Looksmaxxing, but I've been seeing across social media a hyperfixation on beauty, sexual appeal, status, wealth, and of course, mogging. And I get it. I'm sure this is nothing new for people who understand how much society likes to put certain people on a pedestal based on all these categories, despite how superficial they might be. But it has gone to a point where I think people are taking it too far.
My face is surprisingly not swollen. Apparently the swelling peaks at around day 2 to 3. My waist...
First of all, I like to preface by saying I don't think Looksmaxxing is intrinsically a bad idea. Nor do I have any ill will towards these creators, though it has been getting a bad sentiment around it due to no small part because of said creators at the forefront of the community. I mean, these guys are so polarizing because most of what they do is just party, drink, gamble, shoot drugs, get cosmetic surgeries, and try to smash hundreds of girls all at a young age, which is not a good rhetoric to promote. And the question that really needs to be answered is, for what? What is the point of going down this path of self-destruction in the pursuit of being attractive? While Braden Peters, otherwise known as Clavicular,
Holy hair.
mentions in his Ascension program that attractive men get treated differently. They get the girls, they get the respect, and they get the opportunities handed to them. Furthermore, on the Impulsive podcast, Clav said that his streams mostly capture the nightlife of Miami and him interacting with girls in the club or wherever to showcase the end result of Looksmaxxing, which is at the end of the day to succeed in the dating market. But not even 10 minutes later, he says that he'd rather his dick never work again and keep all his hair and looks. Like what? How can you succeed in the dating market or even want to succeed if you can't even use a dick? And so it begs another question. Which one is it? Is Looksmaxxing for yourself, self-improvement, developing confidence, and the opportunities, and blah blah blah, whatever else comes with it? Or is it just to get with trashy girls on the streets like we've been seeing all along, despite what Clav said earlier? Well, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, that it is neither. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and deny that looks don't matter. They most definitely play a part in how people treat you and how physically attractive you appear. But there are definitely nuances to it. And I don't think anybody in the Looksmaxxing community has been able to fully capture what those really are. In his 60-minute interview, Clavicular says, "You're absolutely correct," to his interviewer when he makes the counter argument that looks are not everything, and other attributes are far more important, like character, personality, maturity, intelligence. But Clavicular does make a good point and says those are all perceived entirely differently based on your looks. And this is because of the halo effect. So what is the halo effect? Well, the halo effect is when a positive trait in an individual can make one assume that other traits of that person are positive as well. The most common example of this is if somebody is conventionally attractive. One might assume that they are also more intelligent or a kinder individual solely based on their attractiveness. But Clavicular is misrepresenting the laws of the halo effect because it works in multiple ways. If I were to show you a picture of these two people and were to ask you which one do you think is a kinder individual, some of you might say the person on the left, some of you might say the person on the right because maybe he has less of an intimidating face. But for those of you who chose the guy on the left, what if I told you he's actually a convicted felon and the guy on the right is a special needs caretaker? Now does your opinion change? This is exactly what's wrong with how Clavicular and everyone else in the Looksmaxxing community is misrepresenting the laws of the halo effect. If somebody has a high level of education, good hygiene, smells nice, dresses nice, works hard, is competitive, has discipline, has interesting hobbies, is down to earth or a funny person, all of that can make you appear more attractive as well. I mean, we've all seen the comments in a couple's post saying, "He must be the funniest guy in the world," for good reason. I mean, it's the only way you can explain how Drewski pulled a girl like Ruby Rose. And I mean, that guy's got a face only a mother can love.
What the fuck happened to the bed?
The thing is that the Looksmaxxers recognize and know the difference between a PSL score, which is quote-unquote an objective measure of how good your face looks, and SMV, or sexual market value, which considers everything about someone outside of looks to rank you in the dating market. But clearly the latter is way more valuable than having a pretty face. Otherwise, none of these things would matter when it comes to appearing more attractive. I also find it so funny that Nocturnal Ken thinks Elon Musk looks a lot better now after he lost the weight and he fixed his hair, but not even the reporter believes it.
He still looks a bit chopped though, like, surely. I wouldn't call him chopped, I mean...
Seems that even he has been influenced by the halo effect for an autistic billionaire and is not even realizing why. It's definitely not because of Elon's looks, I'll tell you that much.
I am become meme. Yeah, pretty much.
So, if the laws of the halo effect can be applied in multiple ways, then why do the Looksmaxxers promote an extremist view of how to become more attractive? Well, the answer is simple: insecurity. Looksmaxxing today, as we know it, promotes nothing but nonsense and makes people feed into their insecurities. They are taking advantage of the intense emotions that come with being insecure about how you look. We've all been there. Loneliness, shame, envy, rejection, and desperation, allowing these creators to grift off of you and garner an insane amount of attention from it by appealing to the hearts of troubled young men, women, and children through this radical idea that looks is above all. They get more attention, which they can funnel to get more paid subscriptions, products being sold, and anything else to monetize their philosophy. It was never really about getting the girls or getting the respect. It was just to get your attention. The worst part is that all of this propaganda is working. They get to do what they do best, which is be degenerate and promote nonsense, and in exchange, we are entertained by it. We give them the attention that they seek so they can once again convert it into a higher status, more wealth, and of course, more edits. But most content creators have a large audience of young men, women, and children, and yet they don't seem to care about the impact that they're gonna have by continuing to display their hedonistic lifestyles. I mean, Clavicular even goes one step further and says on Piers Morgan that during puberty is a time where it's most important for people to optimize their growth mechanisms through pharmaceutical interventions. I'm sorry, that's a fucking insane message to send out to those who are going through puberty, who are very impressionable, and most likely very insecure. And as of recording, Clavicular is only 20 years old, and he can be seen overdosing outside of a club on his own stream and visibly regretting his surgeries in front of thousands. Mason Hull, another Looksmaxxing creator, you might have seen him from earlier, is only 18 years old, and he is now in jail for possessing and distributing CP. And no, I don't mean cheese pizza. Androgenic, yeah, another Looksmaxxer, 25 years old, and has undergone multiple cosmetic surgeries, already from which he's recovering from. Nocturnal Kent, who probably has done the most amount of damage to his face through bone smashing, who has now gone missing and is MIA from the internet for who knows why. And lastly, of course, Connor Murphy, recently passed away. He was one of the pioneers in Looksmaxxing and self-improvement on YouTube, and it's just sad to see how downhill everything has sort of gone for him up until his death. The same fate awaits for all who follow in their footsteps. But of course, with the bad comes the good. I would say that the only somewhat ethical Looksmaxxer is Kareem Shami, otherwise known as the Syrian Psycho. His page mostly has scientific-based advice on how to improve your health and looks through more orthodox methods, but I've never seen him criticize members of his own community and even supports them through their most extreme endeavors.
Androgenic just made history. On the behalf of the unemployed, you guys, he is now the first well-known Looksmaxxer to publicly undergo a 3,000 graft hair transplant onto his temples and hairline, along with a rhinoplasty. His nose was straightened, the dorsal hump was removed.
Which is disappointing to see because he is one of the founding fathers of the modern Looksmaxxing era, and he's not doing much to prevent it from sinking down the drain. Even when we take a closer look at their before and afters, it's interesting to see that a lot of their ascensions are just them coming fresh out of puberty and developing a good physique. I already mentioned how young all these guys are, so is there even a secret method to these transformations, or are they just growing older and taking their health and hygiene more seriously? There is just simply too many inconsistencies with the Looksmaxxing ideology. Their knowledge is definitely not worth paying for, and your body should never be put on the line in order to get the girls and their respect. Clavicular even says himself that he is a quiet guy that doesn't tend to go out if he could choose not to. And he even thinks putting the work in to sleep with girls is not worth it. Yet here he is, making an obligation upon himself to be this intense personality, displaying this hedonistic lifestyle night after night, losing himself in the process. Maybe that's why he always looks so ghastly in his new content compared to when he just started out. Because it seems that after undergoing your ascension, you have to give up something in exchange. It could be money, bodily functions, or your own humanity. And by the end of it, you'll realize that none of it was really worth it. Your life hasn't changed much.
The sad truth is it doesn't change as much as people magically think it's changed. I feel a small sense of disappointment.
People still look at you like everybody else. And the girls, yeah, they still want Duke Dennis.
Like, I feel like these girls, they want Duke Dennis. They don't want me. It's not fair.
Oh, shut the hell up.
Because at the end of the day, nobody's worth your time if they only value you for your looks. That same boy who was shouting to the heavens that the world is unfair and I lost a genetic lottery, no one will give me the time of day, is still a slave to that very system he hates so much. And honestly, it's just sad to see. If the top creators of the Looksmaxxing community are degenerate, don't understand their own philosophies, push themselves and others to the extreme, and don't care about the image they are generating in people's minds, is it really a community to begin with? So guys, stop being fooled. This is shameful. All of these Looksmaxxers are downright shameful. And even though they might mock someone to death, it doesn't take much to look beyond their emptiness and realize how terrible these influencers really are. In reality, Looksmaxxing is not a real community. It doesn't have many ethical representatives, preaches an extremely flawed worldview, and it most certainly does not have the key to becoming more attractive.
At least I could say that I gave something my all. While you sit there and type your comment on my Instagram reel from your shitty wage job, at least I tried. At least I dedicated myself to the craft and was willing to do whatever it takes.